Ben Killen Music and History. Florence, Alabama, often called Muscle Shoals, is a city quite famous for the volume of popular musical works for several years. One of the most notable names born in the region is W.C. Handy, known as the father of the blues. It is where the singer, composer, musician and writer Ben Killen comes from. About his childhood, Ben says, "I think most any childhood is hard. Finding your place in this mixed-up world isn't easy. But it's all relative, I guess." However, the artist reveals that his adolescence was a more generous stage. "I was fortunate to be surrounded by many friends, fellow musicians and other open-minded and creative individuals," he adds. The artist comments that music has been a part of his life before he can remember. His mother is choral director to this day, although she's retired after over 30 years of teaching school. "She was traveling around performing with a small group of fellow musicians when I was in her belly," he points out. Ben always participated in choirs throughout high school and college. The singer says he was fortunate to have a few very good musical instructors and mentors. Because of his work unrelated to music, Ben reveals that he hasn't rehearsed as much as he would like to. However, he practices at least 1 hour or so each day. The singer adds that he always had the support of his parents. After seeing the artist Joy Clark playing banjo at a concert, he begged his parents relentlessly to get him a banjo. "The next Christmas they obliged and I started taking lessons with a friend of my father's, Scooter Muse, a well-renowned banjo master in the area," he reveals. For Ben, the difficulties in the musical trajectory were mainly adolescent stubbornness, too many distractions, and not wanting to put in the work required to get good at it. "But now I'm very thankful for all the learning and progress I did back in those days. I feel the early start helped me become the musician I am today," he emphasizes. About his main instrument, he says he doesn't really feel like playing much else other than his dobro, risophonic guitar, or his lap steel. "I've definitely developed an intense love for the steel over the last few years, but I also play a lot of banjo with the two bands I'm in, and it seems like my fellow musical friends are always asking me to sit in here or there and add in a little banjo. I guess it's pretty hard to find a banjo player in New York City," he emphasizes. Ben began to learn banjo when he was 9 and his teacher was Robert, also known by the artistic name Scooter Muse, famous for playing bluegrass, a kind of country music influenced by jazz and blues, and traditional Irish music and banjo. "He's a really great teacher, and was very patient with me, something I very much look back on and appreciate now," he reveals. His first public performance was in the preschool choir in a church. "I was also fortunate enough to be selected to sing a solo at an elementary school program way back in the day," he says. In school he played 12 shows a week in a cover band for about 5 years down on the Gulf Coast. "That was pretty great, provided me room and board for summer on the beach, that's hard to beat," he points out. Ben began to compose earlier. The artist recalls his mother would use the tape recorder to capture song ideas he came up with. For Ben, life is his inexhaustible source of inspiration. Ben's first composition was the song "Why." "I wrote most of it in a single sitting down at the beach back in 2003, I still like the song though, and it definitely has its strengths, but more than anything, I think I just don't really feel the way I felt about the situation in question. It's a breakup, heartbreak song, as I did when I wrote it, so I don't really sing it anymore because it feels inauthentic to do so now," he argues. According to Ben, his process of creation takes place through silence, listening and vigilance. "Awaiting the great muse to grace me with her countenance. That when she comes, I am ready," he reveals. His favorite creation is the song "Singing a River Blues," which will be available soon on the digital platforms. "I'm also really proud of a lot of the music I've co-written with the two bands I'm currently in, particularly Santa Rita by my folk rock band, The Grand Prospect, as well as a couple of our newest songs which will be on our forthcoming studio album. From my acoustic folk trio, my favorite tunes are probably Late Night Garden and Too Much," he reports. In late 2012, Ben recorded his first album with The Grand Prospect, a few months after his father's passing. Currently, the artist has no contract with any label. For Ben, the most important thing for fledgling musicians today is to not sign a crappy deal. A great label is great to have, but nowadays you can do a lot of the stuff yourself that you would have needed a label for in the past, he advises. The band The Grand Prospect are Corey Bortnicker, on piano, vocals and acoustic guitar, Hack Pardo, on guitar, Brian Brolston, drums and vocals, and Ben, on the banjo, vocals, acoustic guitar and double. The band Proud Pair of Thieves is formed by Danny Reisbeck, bass, Jay Strickland, on guitar, vocals and harmonica, and Well, in the banjo, accordion, harmonic and vocal. In solo performances, in addition to singing, the artist plays double, lap steel, acoustic guitar and harmonica. When asked the importance of music in his life, the artist says, "Music is my lifeblood. Without it, I would surely die." Most of the shows he has done are related to some form of philanthropy. For the release of the second album, Ben and his band Grand Prospect are planning a charity show. "I definitely feel like any time one can use their art to support a worthy cause, it's an endeavor worth undertaking," he emphasizes. Concerning the future musical scenario, the artist believes that much will be possible and generally he likes what he has been listening to. "I cannot exactly articulate why, but I feel a new music's coming, or a lot of it, anyway, is moving in a direction that is more heartfelt, more honest, less superficial and more real. I think that's a good direction to go in, especially when you consider the alternative," he reveals. Ben says he isn't a person easy of getting bothered, but some small things annoy him from time to time. "I'm only human after all. But a little over a year ago, as I was finishing Scale Back, my first book, I made a conscious decision not to let silly little things that I have little or no control over have any control over me any longer, because there really is no good to be had from doing so," he argues. If you let little things, outside your realm of influence control you, you basically cede all autonomy whatsoever and instead are chained and bound by the actions of your enemy, he adds. About what makes him happy, Ben says, "I love music first and foremost, among them, pretty girls, summer legs and sundresses, long, beautiful hair wistfully dancing in the breeze, and sand on skin sparkling in the sunshine. The ocean, oh my god how I love the ocean. And smiles. I love smiles so much, but seriously, hugs. Hugs are just about the greatest thing there is, right? Hugs are so vital to the human experience, don't you think?" In addition to working with music, Ben also ventures into the universe of letters. His first published book is entitled Scale Back, Simplify Your Life and Enjoy the Things That Really Matter. Ben comments he is proud of his musical heritage. His uncle Dub Killen played bass with Vassar Clements and Dixie Gentlemen, and his nephew Buddy Killen was an entrepreneur in the music business in Nashville who developed by himself and worked with big names. To learn more about Ben's work, visit benkillen.com. By Zel Florizel. You can find more artist histories on zelflorizel.blogspot.com.